All right. Hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Fun Fans Podcast. I'm your host, James Dillard. With me, as always, my co-host, Bailey Jackson. How you doing, Bailey?
I'm doing well. Do I look any older?
Yeah, let me turn. Nah, not a day. You don't look a day over 50.
All right, that's good. I'm back.
He's back and better than ever. And that's one thing we're going to talk about today is birthdays. We are still expecting an extremely special guest coming on. We're hoping to still get Michael Dean Perry on here. We're going to celebrate not only Bailey's, but some other special birthdays from this past week. We have some other important updates from Clemson Athletics and Clemson University. As always, we're going to make sure you're caught up on all the major, at least the major sports issues of the week in the wider world. And we're definitely going to give away some merch. But first, the Fun Fans are a proud port. It's like I'm in Massachusetts. We're a proud part of the Fanboys Fangirls Sports Podcasting Network. If you're a true sports fan, the Fanboys Fangirls is perfect for you. Find various nationwide podcasts and other sports media at thefanboys.com and all forms of social media. The Fun Fans Podcast is the official podcast for Clemson fans.
Yep, and we are super excited to have Reuben's Food, Sports, Spirits, and Catering back on board with the Fun Fans this year. The best wings around with 2 locations in the upstate, 1083 Batesville Road in Greer and 11028 Anderson Road in Piedmont. You can find them at ReubensC.com, and Reuben's is simply a great place to eat for all sports fans, but as I like to say, especially Tiger fans.
That's right, especially Tiger fans. So we got different music going here. We got a little different vibe because it is the first ever Fun Fans Podcast birthday bash. So hang on, we have some special effects here. Hang on, remember this is a low budget podcast. Look out. Now, there were some special birthdays this week, and one of them was Mr. Bailey Jackson turning 50. So
yes.
Here we go. We got it going on here. Look at here. You see that?
Thanks.
Where's my camera? Yeah, if you want to drive to Reedville, you can.
Yeah, hold on to that.
There's 5 more in the refrigerator there. So we're going to talk about Bailey turning 50. The Paul also had a birthday this week. Did you know the Paul turned 50 something?
I saw that 53, I think.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. But and our man the Hat, Dean the Hat Cox, had a birthday this week, so we're going to talk about that. So there's a little bit of special. Oh, wait a minute, I'm missing. I got one more.
Well, don't burn your house down while you're doing this.
Don't burn. I almost forgot the disco ball.
Oh, okay. Nice.
All right. Happy birthday. All right. So, best, all the well wishes. I made a wish for you, Bailey.
Thank you.
So, speaking of the birthdays, let me get this music over here.
Yeah.
The Tiger. Well, while we're at it, while I'm trying to fool with all this stuff, tell us about your 50th birthday, Bailey.
It was pretty uneventful. I was able to wake up and go to work like any normal Tuesday.
Hey, that's a good thing.
And here's an interesting fact. So we had registration at school this week, and we always eat lunch at registration. And the lady that planned it all knew it was my birthday, so she put my favorite taco bar on Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
Because it was my birthday.
Awesome. Well, happy birthday. Maybe the coaches clinic is coming up this week, right? South Carolina Coaches Clinic. Now, we talk a lot of sports on here. Everybody that listens is we do some things that are not sports related. And if you've listened at all, or you know me and Bailey, you know both of us are high school administrators and former high school coaches. So, and this wasn't on the script, Bailey, so I'm kind of putting you on the spot. But in the state of South Carolina, and what you might know across the nation, obviously the high school athletes is what feeds into the colleges. What's the vibe? What's the outlook? And we'll do this again maybe next week after the South Carolina Coaches Clinic. What's the outlook for South Carolina high school athletics, just kind of in general? Things good, kind of trying to get better? Or we got some great athletes in South Carolina. I know that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about that across the board in all sports. But I mean, there are a few issues that we're having to deal with. And just so it's not controversial on this fun show,
Yeah.
won't talk about them. But I think everybody's excited about another school year. We're actually starting school. Our teachers actually go back to work next Monday.
Yes.
So we're starting early and have like a modified year-round schedule, getting ready to start. But it's that time of year where every football coach and every fall athlete, cross country, swim, they're getting ready to have their first official practice this Friday coming up. So it's
Very
here.
good. It's always an exciting time of year. And I know that we do have a lot of athletes that look forward to playing at the next level. A lot of them play club and stuff and get a lot of looks. But interesting fact when we talk, since we're in our birthday bash segment here, that the Paul. So just in case you guys out there didn't know, on July 17th, 1970, the Paul was born, spearheaded by Clemson president at the time, Dr. Robert Edwards, along with new football head coach back then, Hootie Ingram, was offered some free work by a company here in Greenville, South Carolina called Henderson Advertising. All right, so the cool thing I learned is the thought behind the Paul. It's not just somebody came up with this thing and, that's what ended up being the logo. So these guys researched other teams. They did they're very good due diligence, like anybody should do on a big project. And they looked at other teams that have a tiger mascot and looked at what their mascot was. And basically it was just a picture of a tiger and maybe a little variation here or there. But the thought was a tiger's a tiger. So they came up with the paw is actually intended to be the footprint of a phantom tiger. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. I assumed it was a footprint.
Well, right. It's a footprint, but the idea is that it's of a phantom tiger. So and that's intended to be mysterious and maybe somewhat intimidating, at least on the athletic field. So I thought that was kind of neat. And they turned it about 10 degrees clockwise, and you would think the rest is history. However, the other piece of the story is legendary baseball coach, Coach Wilhelm, and the basketball coach at the time also, they didn't like it. So these guys that had already gotten approved by the university, they were said, okay, and plastered all over everything like you do any logo. But those guys like, you're not putting it on my field. You're not putting it on my court. And the football coach went to Frank Howard, and Coach Howard went and talked to those guys and kind of sold the paw to the Coach Wilhelm and the basketball coach at the time. And now the rest is history.
If you've ever known Coach Wilhelm, he didn't like a whole lot of stuff sometimes. So he's the reason Clemson has we don't have a warning track. We have a little hill in the outfield, and it used to be a lot more severe in the baseball outfield. But he's, I remember he was very good friends with my uncle. I worked with the baseball team at Clemson my freshman year, and he was Clemson baseball. So at the time I've been told stories about Ibrahim, the soccer coach, and Wilhelm, and a few other guys that were there that were like, it was almost like they were a high school group of coaches,
right?
Because it wasn't as big then, obviously, as it is now. But when Frank Howard spoke, people listened.
That's for sure. So happy birthday to the Paul, the hat, Bailey, anybody else that had a birthday this week, and anybody else had a birthday this upcoming week. So that concludes it. And those of you listening on the audio only, you got to check out YouTube. You missed all the visuals, and hopefully if I can get this thing to work. Look at there. So all right, so we're good. That concludes our birthday segment.
That's pretty impressive.
Here on the Fun Fans Podcast. So other news coming out of Tiger Town, this got everybody excited, and I'm going to play, I will say devil's advocate. I don't want to be a cynic necessarily, but former Clemson offensive coordinator Chad Morris is back with the staff as an offensive analyst. So Bailey, should we get ready to melt down the barrel of the cannon, or is that cause for some concern?
All right. So did you read into this? It's a Monday through Thursday position. He's leaving every Thursday to go watch TCU play because that's where his son plays.
No, which is, that's an analyst. So he's going to break down basically
he can't do any on the field coaching. Correct. Anyway. But yeah, I don't think it's going to hurt. I mean, you probably didn't, a lot of people probably didn't know, but Ted Roof was actually a defensive analyst the last year Venables was at Clemson. And
Right.
Ted Roof was known as one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. But he's just in there. You know, those jobs are ways to get more eyes on film and break down and have a ton of ideas. And we all know Chad Morris has a ton of ideas.
Yeah.
And he was actually the head coach at Allen High School, which it is. Allen High School Stadium would be the third largest stadium in the state of South Carolina if it was in South Carolina.
Nice.
I've been there. It's impressive.
So the answer is, if anything, with get the cannon ready, fire up the band. They need to be ready to play Tiger Rag many times. Hopefully,
he probably has a very good relationship with our new offensive coordinator, since his son is a quarterback at TCU.
Yes, yeah. We're putting some pieces together here, definitely, for sure.
Yep.
Very good. Well, I'm excited about it. I know we did score lots of points when he was there or here, and really we're already excited. It just adds to the excitement with the offense, with what we're looking for this year anyway. So definitely, hopefully, a good thing. And speaking of getting fired up for football season, I ran across this is kind of an old clip, but this will definitely get us. We're getting ready. Every week we're going to do a little bit more to get more and more ready. So here we go.
Our football team was like the kid that plays second French horn in the school band. We got to play better. And that's a double-edged sword, It's kind of like watching your mother-in-law go off a cliff in a Cadillac. You got mixed feelings. He's like that black lab on the first day of pheasant hunting season. He was pulling at the chain. We're kind of like a woodpecker in a petrified forest. Just keep busy and look for opportunities. I got a short memory, just like when I was in the third grade, 2 of the best years of my life. Some aspects look like we're really ready to play. A couple of other aspects look like we just got off Willie Nelson's tour bus. And all the calls I made on fourth down all those years, you know what my favorite fourth down call was?
What?
Punt. It was the most successful play we had.
Guy is pretty funny.
Yeah,
and isn't it like North Dakota or somewhere he coaches?
Yeah, it's a small college or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, so
he's very funny.
My favorite one's the woodpeckers in the petrified forest.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're definitely
favorite play on fourth down was punt.
That's right. And okay, so the campus is also getting ready for football season. As the most recent reports show, we got the picture up here. Once again, if you're listening to the audio, you're missing out on all the visuals. Oh, but if you could hear that thunder at my house, hopefully we stay connected here. Bailey, you take over if something happens. But
I will.
So this is a very, from this past week, a very updated picture of Tiger Walk. Just a couple days ago, they literally put the letters Tiger Walk on the sign, and there's the Paul. Happy birthday, Paul. And it, other than, some cleaning up, some finishing touches, it looks pretty much done. I was worried about it there, and it definitely looks nice. And there's different pictures posted everywhere, but I really don't think they took away too many of the parking spaces. I know some people know exactly how that worked out and others didn't, but Bailey, you excited about the new Tiger Walk?
Yeah, I'll venture down there to see my daughter walk down and lead the Tigers to the west end zone.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
At least once.
At least once, and I'll do much better. My healing process. I can get back up that hill a whole lot better this coming fall. I promise.
I hope so.
Awesome. So very good. All right. So Bailey, yes. I'm leaving it all up to you to get us updated, because I do have one very, we're only going to keep the fans posted on the most important sporting events.
Well, I will say this. I'm gonna add something from Clemson. They just approved a renovation to Little John, and it was just renovated. Probably less than. It's probably been 10 or 12.
Hadn't been that long ago.
Yeah. They now are going to have a dedicated practice gym for both the men's and women's programs. They're going to be new sports medicine facilities. Gymnastics is going to be competing in Little John. So that was a reason that we needed more dedicated space for different teams.
Right.
And I think there's actually going to be weight room facilities in there, upgraded and updated. Because that you have to keep up with everybody else. I mean,
Right.
so that was good news.
And is that the only facility? That's a facility upgrade, but didn't they approve a brand new student athlete facility, something or another, this week?
If they did, I didn't read into that. I'm sorry, I'm unprepared.
No, that's all right. I was unprepared about that as well, but it's something brand new, I believe. And of course, the other folks, the football team started practice. And I think we're about to please pause for this minor interruption. It looks like we're getting our guest on here. Hopefully. If he's experiencing this storm, he might be having some trouble as well. But here he is. I'm just going to bring him on. So we're already live, and he looks like he might be muted. So Mike, I'm about to bring you on. If you think you're muted, just check your microphone. But we'll get everything going here in a second. Here we go. Hopefully. We've definitely got something up there, but he definitely looks frozen. He even looks frozen on my end. All right. Hopefully we'll keep working on that. As you can see, we are making attempts to get the legendary Michael Dean Perry on the show.
So what we should do is talk about the defensive tackle for the Tigers from 1984 to 1987. First team All-American in 1987. First team All-ACC 1986 and 87. The ACC Player of the Year in 1987, which is very rare for a defensive player. He has a ACC record for career tackles for loss and sacks. He was one of 3 finalists for the Outland Trophy in 1987, and he was a second-round draft pick in 1988 of the Cleveland Browns, where I think he probably played for Bill Belichick's defense. I'd have to check. And he was a 5-time Pro Bowl selection for Cleveland and Denver.
Yep.
He's on the Clemson Centennial team, and he's ranked as the 10th greatest football player of the 20th century.
It's crazy.
We were going to welcome Mr. Michael Dean Perry as soon as we get connected.
Yes, and that's going to be really exciting, and we're really excited to talk to him, and hopefully we can ask him some questions. But while we wait, we're going to jump straight to one of the reasons he's coming on here is to promote Wayne Buckingham's Orange and White Weekend that's coming up August 4th, 5th, and 6th. Michael Dean is going to be there. Okay, so there's a tailgate on Friday night. There's a autograph signing on Saturday afternoon. There's a gala on Saturday night, and then there's a golf tournament on Sunday. We will post the link to this information, but you will be able to meet, hang out with, rub elbows with Clemson legends such as Michael Dean Perry, Levon Kirkland, Dale Davis, Eldon Campbell, Perry Tuttle, Coach Danny Ford. The list just goes on and on and on. So I was doing that in hopes of killing some more time, and it looks like Mike is off again. Now
we can get him on here whenever he's available. We can keep moving forward here.
Yeah, we're going to do that, and we'll get him on here. We may do a recorded interview sometime midweek or for next week's show. But I'll go ahead and say this: I've never met Michael before, but I was on a call with him with Buck to set this thing up, and I can tell he's a fun guy. I'll just leave it at that. But he was that these guys, to say they might crack on each other and have a good time at this event coming up on August 4th, 5th, and 6th could be somewhat of an understatement. So make sure you're there if you want to sponsor something. That all the information will be posted. It's on our social media. Look for Wayne Buckingham's social media, and it's all over the place. You can't miss it. Grab a ticket and just get there. So, all right. If we moving on, hopefully we'll get Michael Dean soon. British Open, Bailey. I watched the last. Speaking of rain,
former Georgia Bulldog Brian Harmon won the British Open today. It was the 151st playing of the Open Championship, and it's wild because Harmon becomes only the 3rd left-handed player to ever win the British Open. He won by 6 shots, which is a blowout in
Yes,
golf.
blowout.
And he hasn't won a tournament since 2017 on the PGA Tour. And he actually he was the underdog for sure today, because the McIlroys, the Rahms, the Fleetwoods, the fans wanted those guys up at the top, and they were actually kind of heckling Harmon a little bit. But he kind of plays with a chip on his shoulder. He was really good, and that's a life-changing win.
Oh, without a doubt. According to what the folks were saying, he was putting on a clinic.
Yep.
All right, so let's try this one more time. Here comes, or there went.
Well, I can talk about the Ladies World Cup. The U.S.
Right.
beat
I can
Vietnam.
Hear you.
Hey,
there he
There
is.
it is.
Guys, how you doing?
Hey,
Good.
doing well, Mike. How are you?
Me and technology, we don't get along too well.
Hey, it's okay. And you're not. I told there's a storm going on here, so I've told Bailey and the listeners that if something happens, y'all got it. Just have to roll with it.
Yeah, there you go. Don't blame the messenger.
Well,
How
Mike,
you guys doing?
We're doing well.
Good.
We're doing well. We really appreciate you being on here. We've having somebody like you on here. Just honestly, it makes me feel like a kid again, because I remember, watching you play and, knowing how great you were a player and everything you were. And just to be able to have you on the show we got here is very humbling. So we appreciate you being on here for sure.
But thanks for having me, guys. The pleasure's all mine. I'm just amazed that people still want to talk to me after being retired for 26 years.
Hey,
well, tell us what you're up to these days. What's going
let's hear
on?
it. Yeah.
Oh, nothing much. Enjoying life. My youngest daughter graduated from Clemson in May. So all my girls are out of school now, and I'm enjoying life. I started to partner with an individual, Partner Risk Strategies Insurance Company. So I'm doing a little of that, commercial insurance, just trying to stay busy.
Very good.
Gotcha.
Bailey and I have Clemson daughters. Mine graduated a year ago, and Bailey's has
Okay.
one more year to go. So yeah, we
All
know
right,
how
we're in
that
the same
is.
family. Yeah, we're in the same family.
That's right.
Yeah, stroking. Hey, stroking those checks, huh?
Same parent
Yeah.
group. That's
I hope-
exactly
Pretty
right.
much.
Hey, look, I hope I get some relief now, but I don't think I will.
Hey, I don't even want to tell you how much money I spent yesterday moving my graduated daughter to Indiana. I love you, Jalen. It's worth every penny. Anyway, so Mike, tell listeners, we usually ask former players how they ended up at Clemson. What was your recruiting process like?
Of course, everybody knows my famous brother. And I can remember Coach Ford coming to the house my senior season, offering me a scholarship. He said, Michael, you know what? When I came in to recruit William, I'm 2 years younger than William.
Mm-hmm.
He said, you wasn't very big. I grew a couple of inches between my 10th and 11th grade summer of my 10th number. And so anyway, when he came to visit me, I wasn't very highly recruited. I broke my ankle my senior season in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So all the big time Division I schools pulled out. Clemson, Carolina, and a few small colleges continued to pursue me. So
Wow.
I didn't have many choices. Believe it or not, I wanted to make my own path. I wanted to, venture out and, not be under his shadow, so to speak. But as it turned out, fate had a different way for me to go. So at that time, of course, Clemson was the better choice, and that's how I ended up at Clemson.
Okay.
Very good. And
I'm gonna tell you another interesting fact. Not many people believe this when I tell them that. I didn't realize I was good enough to play in the NFL. I was going to graduate, get me a job, and go about my business. But I never thought I was good enough to play pro ball. So the scout for the Chicago Bears came in. He was looking at a couple of players, and he made the comment. He said, "Hey, Michael, you know what? You are just as good as Steve McMichael now." And I was a rising senior. I'm like, "Yeah, right. This guy's blowing smoke up. You know what?" He just saying nice things because William is in Chicago, and he just wanted to give me a little admiration, I guess. And I saw that guy probably in '95 because I left Cleveland in '94 after '94 season. So yes, it was '95 in Denver. I saw him at a restaurant, and he said, "You remember me?" I said, "Yeah, I remember you." He said, "Remember what I told you?" I said, "Yes, I did." And I think that was the first guy who said, "I see the talent that you have." I mean, people saw it before I did. I didn't think that.
Well,
I know it's hard to believe. I know it's hard to believe because most athletes come in thinking they're going to go to the NFL right away. I was the one that said I didn't think I was good enough.
Well, humility goes a long way, and that's what a lot of not just athletes, but a lot of folks don't realize nowadays. But that can be an important tool in the toolbox for people, is to have some humility. And we didn't really get a chance to introduce ourselves, but Bailey and I are both educators. We're both high school administrators and former high school coaches, and we also know that sometimes saying that one comment to a young person, whether it be high school, middle school, college, can give them that little spark they need. So that's good that it's up there at the professional ranks, at least back then. Hopefully, I'm sure it still is today. Anybody successful knows the tools, knows the steps.
Well,
sure.
I want to say this to you guys as educators. Thanks for teaching our youth, because I know it's not easy in this day and age. So hats off to you guys who are educators and all the educators around the world. We really appreciate it as a parent. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. I'm fired up and ready to go back.
So when you were at Clemson, what was your favorite thing about being part of that football program?
The favorite part, victory meals. That was my favorite part about being in the program. Every Monday, if we win on Saturday, every Monday we would have the biggest steaks, the seafood, the lobster, the shrimp. I mean, it was great. No, but seriously, just the relationships, the people you meet. Some of the guys that I played with, we're still good friends today. So the relationships that you forge while you're there, and it was like that in the NFL until free agency became center, and guys didn't stay on certain teams very long.
Mm-hmm.
So my first 5 years in Cleveland, we pretty much kept the core individuals. So you develop a good relationship. So some of the guys that I played with in Cleveland, just like Clemson, they're still pretty close and good friends of mine today.
Right.
Very good.
So that's the one thing that I will say about Clemson, and the what I take away most is the relationships that I have, the teammates that I still keep in contact with.
Kind of like me and Bailey. That's where we met.
There you go. Exactly.
Way back in the day.
Right.
So is there any event, or was there a game that just, or one or two that stands out to you during your career at Clemson?
Okay, I'm gonna give you my best game that I remember, and then I'm gonna give you my worst game. Okay.
All right.
So which one do you want first, the good or the bad?
Let's take the worst game first.
Okay, the worst game. So it was my senior season. We played Duke and Clemson, and Steve Spurrier was the head coach.
Oh,
so this offensive lineman, I can't remember his name. He was a left tackle, and so he was holding me all game, and I was frustrated. I didn't have any sacks, just a couple of tackles here and there. And I told him, I said, "Listen, guy, I'm tired of you holding me. Quit holding me." I said, "If you hold me again, it's gonna be trouble." He said, "Michael Dean, you're all mouth." I said, "I'll tell you what, you hold me again and see what happens." So he thought I was bluffing. He held me again. And so I just grabbed his face mask and started uppercutting. So the official, here's the funny thing. So the official looks at me, he says, 91. And I look, he didn't say, "Get out of here." He just pointed to the locker room. That was the only game I ever got kicked out of in my college career.
Oh, man.
And whenever I see Steve Spurrier today, he always have that same story. "Michael Dean, oh yeah, I remember when you were uppercutting my guy." I was like, "Yeah, coach, I remember. Don't remind me too often." But he always remind me of that story.
He probably told him to do it.
He probably did, knowing Steve. You're
Strategy.
right.
More than likely.
So my best, I would say, breaking the sack record, but individually, We played Virginia Tech in Blacksburg my senior season. I think I had a couple of sacks, tackles for a loss, but I had my first INT. I took
Oh,
the ball and caught. Yeah, yeah. My
fun.
first INT, my senior season, and we beat Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. I think it was 14-12.
Nice. Well, and
Yeah.
speaking of, I'm gonna jump in for a second, Bailey. I'm sorry, and just kind of on that note, what's your thoughts on the current defensive tackles at Clemson, and not just current, but the past handful of years?
Yeah, I think we've put out some great D linemen in the last 10 years, and one of my teammates, we were talking, and I think 3 out of the top 10 or 15 defensive linemen, they mentioned Christian Wilkins, Dexter Lawrence, and Jarrett in Atlanta.
Great.
Yeah, right. And I was like, wow, that is amazing. That, in the last 5 years, these guys' name have been synonymous with, great defensive line play. So, that's unbelievable.
Yeah,
And
they're the best. Yeah. They're considered the best in the NFL.
Yeah,
that's what.
And
Right, exactly.
They're all interior guys too, like inside.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what not much different back when you were there and left and went to the NFL. I mean, we made a name for ourselves back in the day as well. So kind of kept going since. I'm sorry. That's why I had to ask that question. We've always been stacked.
Right. Absolutely. And so anyway, I called Dabo. I talked with him last week. And of course, the number one topic was the young man, Woods. And he was just giving me his spiel, and I was asking him questions. And so I told him, Dabo, you know what the kind of player he sounds like to me? He said, what's that, Michael? I said, it sounds like he has the strength, the brute strength of William Perry, but probably has the feet of Michael Dean Perry. I said, boy, that's a dangerous combination.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see him play.
Yeah.
Along with the other guys. I'm sorry.
Along with the other. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I keep up with the guys, no doubt.
Very good. All right. I'm sorry, Bailey. I jumped in. I think you're next.
All right. So did you get to go? I mean, did you go to basketball games, baseball games, or did you cheer on your other athletes at Clemson while you were there?
Oh, absolutely. Horace Grant was there. Horace Grant was there when I was there. Eldon Campbell, Dale Davis, Grayson Marshall. I think those were the 3 or 4 guys that, pretty much were some of the best players during my era at Clemson. And of course, I saw other guys, other schools that I was fortunate to see, like Lynn Bias and those guys, Michael Jordan. So
right,
yeah. So our podcast is Fun Fans Podcast, and we talk a little bit of sports. We don't get into the X's and O's. We definitely not going to get on here and talk about who's signing 3 stars and 4 stars and 5 stars. We just had a birthday party. We celebrated Paul and Bailey having a birthday this past week. So that's kind of stuff we do on here. And we'll talk about how much fun and what we did at our tailgate and that kind of stuff. So I think I know the answer to this next question is that you
wait for a minute, James. What is that? I'm looking. I'm trying to figure out what's that on your head.
That's the tiger.
Oh, I see the cap. Oh, I thought you had something on your eyes like Batman.
Oh no,
that's how it looks. I'm looking. I'm like, oh, okay.
He is not Batman.
No, I can't figure out how to get this glare off my eyes. My wife has tried to fix it, just like everything else in my life. But she's mostly successful. But thank goodness. But that's something that I'm gonna have to work on. I'm still working on my studio. It's a low budget. Hey, but we were celebrating the birthday party. We did have some lights. If I can get them things to come on. Well, that's what we did have going.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
It's a birthday party. But getting back to it's a Fun Fans Podcast. Obviously, I'm gonna say obviously you had a daughter at Clemson and you're keeping in touch with Dabo. You get back to the games. What's a day in the Valley? What's a Saturday at Death Valley for Michael Dean Perry like?
It depends on what day. A lot of fans, of course, still recognizes me, but the atmosphere. And I tell people all the time, the most. It's probably the best college entry when guys are getting ready to play is running down that hill. And no, I'm serious. Still to this day, when the guys come down the hill, it still gives you goosebumps. And let me tell you a story about what it's like. I always remember the story, and whoever's around, say if their first time at Clemson, and I always tell the story that that one game we warmed up in our white pants, pregame.
Mm-hmm.
So we went back in the locker room. Coach Ford had the orange pants in the locker, and I mean we were so excited. And so we got on the bus, and when we came around the stadium, and the fans saw that we had the orange pants because we warmed up in the white pants,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was deafening in that stadium. It was unbelievable.
I was there.
Were you there?
Oh yeah, I was at all the home games back when we played. So I was in high school and middle school, I guess. But
that was one of the most memorable games during my 5 years there.
Yeah, stuff like that's awesome.
It is. It really is. So that's what I mean. It's just to reminisce, and sometimes you see, guys you play with, guys that you didn't play with, but were very successful in the NFL, and just nice to see that Clemson family. Always nice.
Yeah, so tell us, I mean, clearly you've been on the phone with Dabo, so you're connected and you're a former player and a good one. What's the state of our program right now? You like it? You like where we're at?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Dabo has done a great job. I mean, the record and the championship speak for itself. I think last year, what's amazing is that, what was it, 8-3 last year, 9-3, 8-3? What was the record last year?
10-2, wasn't it?
10-2,
something like that.
10-2 or 10-3. Well, anyway, still think about this: where we've come from. We didn't play for a national champion in the college playoffs, and that's a disappointing year for the Tigers.
Right.
So that just lets you know how far the program has come, and to be at that level consistently, I mean that's nothing short of amazing.
Yeah,
so,
well said, because I tried to explain that to all the people that sit around us every Saturday, and they are so critical of what's going on in the field. And I'm like, those are kids out there playing a game at a very, very, very high level. And we are now upset when we don't win by 30 points every game.
Right.
That's right.
Let's just win, baby. Let's just win.
Right.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, you get spoiled. And I think that's what happened. We get spoiled. Yeah, it's not a bad place to be. Expectations are high.
That's right. That's true.
That's what you want. That's what you want.
Absolutely.
Most 98% of college programs would love to have 10-win seasons year in and year out, almost no matter what else happens. So, but speaking of just college football in general, Mike, what are your thoughts on how things have changed? Obviously, you played back in the 80s and, a couple or 2 decades ago. Really, a lot has changed the past decade or so. What are your thoughts on just the climate or how college football works nowadays?
As time goes on, time passes, you hope things get better. And I think it has gotten better. And I can relate this to the NFL as well. The one thing that I don't like, and believe me, I'm a recipient of an individual who played and they didn't really take so many precautions to keep players healthy and injury-free as they do now.
Right.
But for me, as an ex-player, you can go too far to the left from coming from the right. And I think college and pro has maybe went a little bit too on the soft side, because I look at some of these penalties that they call. Some are justified, but I would say 50%, 75% shouldn't be called. I mean, you cannot change the trajectory of a defensive player when the guy's not going to stay in that position, even though you try to target a certain area. It just doesn't happen. I mean, that part of the game, I wish they would get better at. And maybe they need some old college players to look at the reviews and the film because, it's just that's part of the game. You're gonna be subject to some hard hits,
It's
and
tough.
yeah, it's tough, and that's a lot.
And the
when you
offensive
get
line
when you,
holds on every play.
Every play.
well, yeah, they can call holding. That's right. They can call
Right.
holding every single play, and we
Right.
understand that.
Right.
I tell you a funny story. I played in Cleveland. I was playing against the Denver Broncos at home. I didn't get one holding call against me. So by the end of the day, I showed the official. I said, "Listen," I said, "How is it that you never called a holding penalty against the offensive lineman?" He said, "What do you mean, Mike? What do you mean?" I said, "Look at my jersey. They grabbed me so much, guys, that my 9 was hanging down."
Yeah.
So guess what happened? The next play, they called a holding penalty.
Nah.
Yeah,
Call them out.
like, guys, really?
Well, I think
So anyway,
a lot of people, the referees, and they're human, they get caught up a lot of times in, they know that there's a really, really good player versus, just I guess you could say a good player or average player. It's kind of like fouls on Shaquille O'Neal or LeBron or somebody.
Right.
They don't,
No.
it don't look like a foul when it's against those guys or something.
Absolutely.
That makes it tough.
In football as well. I mean, for the most part, I hate to admit it, but it's the truth. Most fans like to see high-scoring games.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so when you have the quarterbacks who are not playing to get injured because of this or that, then they're gonna protect those guys. You think and it all depends on the individual. Tom Brady gets all the calls.
Yes.
A big guy like Cam Newton doesn't. So, I mean, it's different. I
That's
mean,
right.
yeah, I played against Elway. I played against Marino. I played against all those tough guys. I mean, Aikman, those guys took some hits and they
Right.
jumped up and they patch on the back. Hey, good hit, Perry. Good hit, Michael Dean. What up? And you go
Yeah.
on.
Get up
And
to
that's
the next
it. That's
play.
the game. That's the game. Right. When
And-
you start taking out the intimidation factor, it takes away from the game.
Without a doubt. I can't
Yep.
tell you, and I agree with the replay. I can't tell you how many replays I've sat through, and it's like, how was that defender, the offensive guy changed his level,
Yeah.
and you're going to call and his target, or hitting him in the head or whatever
Yeah.
is the
Strike
case.
zone.
But the defensive guy was heading for a good hit, but then the offensive guy changed his level. How's in
Right.
half a second?
But I'm gonna tell you the worst calls that I have seen in the last several years. When a defensive lineman sacks the quarterback and lands on top of him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How? Tell me. I'm still trying to figure out how in the hell do it's
Yeah. It's crazy.
It is crazy. That's no way I'm coming full speed because that guy can move, he can dodge, and then you have offensive linemen at the same time still hanging on you, trying to push you past. So when you do get that hit, you're gonna tell me I have to change how I tackle this guy so that I don't land. You end up tearing the ACL trying not to land on top of the quarterback.
That's right.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You need to get people in there who doing reviews, who played the game or who has knowledge of the game, and make these calls. I would be very surprised if you have ex-defensive linemen or ex-players just saying, "Oh yeah, that was a foul. Oh, that was a penalty." No, I just can't. I don't buy that.
It's almost like the lawyers are in charge, and you're right. I don't see.
Well, then you might be right about that one.
the signs.
You might be right.
Signs pointing towards more and more soft. Did y'all LSU gonna have air conditioning in their helmets? That's
you're lying.
Nah, you hear that, Bailey?
That's a joke, right?
No, I'm serious.
No,
I'm gonna have me an LSU helmet on my head at the game. Keep my
Hey,
head
what
covered.
would Coach Ford say about air conditioning in the helmets?
Hey, you don't have to worry about that because that would never come up. You don't have to worry about that. He's not going to say anything because that would never happen.
Gotcha.
But you always appreciate how the game progresses. Don't get me wrong. Like I said before, I am tickled pink. I'm thrilled to death that the industry is trying to protect players. Don't get me wrong. Like I said before, I just don't want it to go too far to the other side.
Right.
That's all. Yeah.
That's
and
right.
it got to be a happy medium, and right now I don't think we're there. It's getting soft.
Yeah.
And you have ex quarterbacks saying the same thing. So
That's
that tells you how bad it is when you have ex-quarterbacks saying, I don't know about this hit. I don't know about that penalty because, at the end of the day, guys, remember, it's still football. It's a
It's still
contact
football.
sport.
It's a collision sport.
There you go. It's a collision sport. I
That leads
stand
right
corrected.
into our next question, Bailey, I think. Don't you?
What's that?
So, all right, let's talk briefly. If you had a middle school or a high school kid and you were talking to them, what's your advice to them if they want to play somewhere like Clemson, South Carolina, where big time college atmosphere?
Well, number one, they got to have the education, of course, the grades to get into the universities. But if their aspirations are to play on the next level, and then again on the professional level, you have to put your time in. You have to put the work in. I tell people this story all the time. I didn't think my defensive line coach at Clemson liked me very much. It was Tom Harper. He passed away, several years ago. And I was a redshirt freshman. And I guess he was trying to get me ready for the season. And, when it was individual period or team period, I stayed in, seemed like 75, 80% of the time. But you know what? I appreciate it later in life. Later in the season, in the spring, because you know what? That prepared me for the season. So what I would tell young kids, if you want to play on that next level, put the time in. Prepare yourself. Okay? If you want to take it that serious, you got to be serious about it. And I think now with the diet and the nutrition and weights, I think that's more important now than ever because at the high school level, especially the college and pro level, you don't get a chance to come to camp out of shape and then work yourself in shape. You'd be out of a job.
That's right.
Right.
So now you got to take it more serious. Off-season programs are very critical now. So
Very
you have to prepare mentally and physically. And I think a lot of kids physically, and you've seen them in your schools or hometowns or someone, they have the physical ability to play on the next level. But what is going on between their ears? Are you preparing yourself mentally? So it's a mental and physical game. So you got to prepare both mentally and physically.
That's one of the hardest things, is
agree.
convincing a 14-year-old that the games on Friday night are won in the weight room, January through August.
Right.
So, but
you think
point across.
And you think about this, you take one or two, you can go to any sport for the most part, basketball, football, baseball, soccer, it doesn't matter. If you get one or two players that are exceptional, the level of play that they play at is going to bring the level of play of their teammates up as well.
That's right.
So when people say everybody has a chance, whether it's the NBA or the NFL or Major League Baseball, you really, don't take that statement lightly because that is true.
Mm-hmm.
You put this guy on this team who was subpar or at the bottom, whatever, and you know what? Right away, those guys are contenders.
That's right.
So you only one or two every team is only one or two players away from winning the Super Bowl, going to the playoffs, having a very successful season.
And kids, don't forget what Mike said first was those grades. You got to have those grades.
That's right.
Coming from into college.
That's right. I had to say that come from educators. Talking to two educators, absolutely.
Hey, that's the first thing that we've had athletes. I remember when Coach Bowden showed up, not Tommy, Bobby showed up at school I was at the time, and first place he goes is to the guidance office, and he wants to see the kids. He wants to see their grades. So that is not wrong. But speaking of asking Coach Ford some questions, Mike, tell us, we're on here to help promote Wayne Buckingham's Orange and White fundraiser. So this is, I think, the 4th year. Have you gone to this event in the past? And tell the listeners why they need to show up.
Well, let me tell you something. This is a great event for a great cause. So you're talking. Remember when I said that I love the relationships, the people that I went to school with, I played with, college and pro. Well, when I was there, Eldon, Dale, and Horace was a big three when I was there.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see those guys around, all we do is sit and reminisce. They tell me stories. Yeah, I remember you in the Shaletta, the dining hall, and you had this many steaks, and you did this, and you did that, and we all just sit and laugh. And It's great, and I think that's what you love about when you come to the event like Buck is putting on. I think the fans, you talking about a weekend of nostalgic type of I don't know what word I should use, but it's just so nostalgic. You got basketball players, you got football players, you got coaches coming together for a great cause and come out and support, and that's what it's all about: family, unity. It's not just what guys do in the basketball, baseball, or football. It's the care and the love that they have for other individuals, and I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah, and I think it's awesome the way this is the first time we've heard about it, and we're definitely going to be there the majority of the weekend for sure. And well, one of us will be there all three days, but
Right.
people, and I say folks like Bailey and I, folks that didn't play for Clemson, but we're big Clemson fans and Clemson graduates, or whether you're a graduate or not, you always look for that opportunity to hang out with, maybe chat, and get introduced to, or meet a player, because the only other time you see them is on the field or on the court, and this is the opportunity. So I think Buck's doing a really cool thing, just putting that opportunity out there for folks to be able to meet some of their former childhood heroes or whatever. So look forward to it, and it's and so you'll be there. That's right?
I will be there, absolutely. Friday and Saturday. I'm not a golfer, so I can't lie. I can't play a lick of golf.
Not doing that one, huh?
But guys, here's the thing though. Yeah, I know we play, at a high level, but the guys like you guys and the fans, who talk to us, who get our story out there. I mean, that's what it's all about. Because when you talk to other athletes and say, hey, that Michael Dean or that Eldon or that Horace or Dale, whatever, those guys just like me, just like regular folk. We are. Just because the camera is on us and we can do extraordinary things on that football field or basketball, but at the end of the day, I still got to take out the trash.
I heard that.
I still got to, when my kids were young, fix them lunches and take them to school. Same thing. That's my job. That ain't who I am.
That's been one of the coolest things about the podcast. We met just on the podcast. Everybody we've talked to, Grayson Marshall was on here with us, and Buck and some of the other guys, and they are just real humble. And being on that call just yesterday with you and Buck, I could tell. I told Bailey, I said, Mike, he's just like us. They're doing a little cracking on each other. I said, this is going to be a trip.
Oh,
when we get together with these folks that weekend.
Yeah.
So.
And that's what it's all about, having fun.
That's right.
Well, we're going to post the link for everybody when we post this.
Absolutely.
And hopefully everybody get on there and grab a ticket. Just know when the events are. And if you have any questions, you can email me or just comment on whatever I post, and I'll do my best to help you. You'll also find Wayne Buckingham's information is not too hard to find on Facebook and just on his website. And I'm sure he's out there now at this point trying to answer questions and get people there. So we're really looking forward to it. And Mike, we appreciate you being on here. Like I say, I don't know, it's real humbling.
Hey, listen, thank you guys for having me. It's nice meeting you guys and talking with you guys. Come out and see the old superstars of the past.
Yeah, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
All right. You guys have a nice evening.
You
too.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, it's like when we had Woody on back in the fall, and it was like we went straight Wayne and Garth. We're not worthy. But it's like he said, he's a down to earth guy that just happens to be really fast and really strong back in the 80s.
They put their pants on just like we do. I'm just telling you, they're people.
We do some things extraordinarily well.
When you're a kid and they're larger than life.
Yeah,
they really are.
Without a doubt.
And that's what people don't understand. They have a lot of eyes on them, so they got to make the right decisions. Because when they don't now, especially now, it's all over the place. But anyway, in other sports news, I wanted to add that the U.S. Women's World Cup is ongoing. The United States just beat Vietnam 3-0. Their first match, and they are in Group E. They play on the 27th. They play the Netherlands. The Netherlands is ranked number 9 in the world. And on the 1st of August, they play Portugal. They're ranked 21st in the world, but the United States women are ranked numero uno. So if you advance through the group stage, you get into the round of 16. So look for that. It's very exciting. And one more thing. I know we've been on here a while, but My
I'm good.
Baltimore O's have taken over first place in the American League East.
What are you gonna do when they
won-
make the playoffs? You got to go,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. And now they're being talked about as serious World Series contenders. So good times. This is a team that lost over 100 games 2 years ago. So there you go.
Thinking the turnaround.
It's a tough job being a Baltimore O's fan, but when they're winning, I'm going to talk about it.
Well, and speaking of going to games, and Mike was talking about playing Duke. Katie know whether she's cheering at that game yet or not?
We don't know yet.
I'm going to ask every week. The fans want to know. The good inquiring minds want to know. So, okay, so we're one last sport. We only cover the important stuff, and we missed something, but we're going to make up for it right now. We found the highlights from the World Pogo Championship. So once again, if you're audio only, you're just going to have to
Pogo Palooza, Extreme Pogo Sticking World Championship highlights.
All right, I don't have any of the results. All I have is that.
Well, I'm gonna say that you might need to develop a hobby other than watching TikTok.
Hey, I was no, I got plenty of time.
But you can sit there and drink your favorite ice cold drink out of a tumbler provided by Diamond Edge Products. They've mastered the diamond laser engraving process, and they can put almost any design on items such as license plates, yard signs, tumblers, water bottles, and much more. And it's high quality, forever lasting. It's custom engraved. You can check them out at diamondedgeproducts.com, or you can email Jaylin, Jaylin, at diamondedgeproducts.com and get some more info. You can also order merchandise from the Fun Fan store. And Diamond Edge Products is now an officially licensed partner with Clemson University. So get your swag from Diamond Edge Products. It's good stuff.
Swag, merch. That's good stuff. So, yeah, we had a great show. We want to I can't believe we had Michael Dean Perry on.
Do we need to give away a tumbler or something?
Oh, yeah. Did I miss the tumbler? Oh, yeah, sorry. So the tumbler, the Fun Fan tumbler this week goes to Brad Harvey. So, Brad, I'll be reaching out to you for your address, and I'll get that shipped away. We appreciate your support and all you do to help the Fun Fans podcast get out there. Congratulations. Once again, how can you win? All you have to do is share any of our shows, and your name will be put in a drawing that we will have. And we are running out of tumblers and koozies, by the way, so you better get to sharing and get it done if you want to win one of those things. So back to the recap. Great show. Michael Dean Perry, the birthday party, the birthday bash is going on. We got some other birthdays coming up. Another reason why this is a birthday thing, we might be talking about birthdays a little bit for a couple of weeks. I got a daughter turning 16. We got the Sweet 16 thing going. I might have to have some highlights from the Sweet 16 birthday party. My wife has a birthday coming up, and then I'm not that much younger than you, Bailey. I got the big 5-0 is on the horizon. September 1st is coming. So we might have to do the Fun Fans birthday bash.
Well, you look older, so that's good. I mean,
well, apparently I got these computerized. That's like a computerized.
Yeah.
But anyway, happy birthday to everyone again. Thanks again for checking us out each and every week. Don't forget to click subscribe on the Fun Fan Podcast YouTube channel, as well as your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on all social media and share to win the merch. All links mentioned, especially Bucks Orange and White Fundraiser Weekend, will be found on the Fanboys site and all of our social media as well, posted on mostly Facebook and Twitter. On behalf of the Fun Fans Podcast, Jay Thriller Entertainment, the Fanboys Fangirls Podcast Network, and Bailey Jackson.
We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening, and go Tigers.